Carl worked all day with only two things to fuel him: coffee and a small supply of Necco wafers he kept hidden in his desk. Carl had been working at his job for over 10 years, but really nothing had changed. Carl worked hard. So hard, in fact, that his doctor had told him if he wanted to stay healthy, he'd have to start taking time off. Carl decided he would have lunch outside. Carl began his long walk to find a place where he could eat in peace. Block upon block, Carl ventured further into the maze of the city. After about 5 minutes, he had reached his limit. "This will never end," thought Carl. "On and on, traveling forever, looking but never finding a place to rest, Oh, they should do nicely." So Carl sat down happily and opened his lunch. He always packed the same thing: 1 bag of chips, Lay's, classic, and a peanut butter sandwich. Eating at the park was nice. It reminded Carl there was still something different and new. Something besides his boring office job. One day, as Carl was lunching, he bumped against a tree. Suddenly, Carl could feel the icky, gooey sap running down his neck. Needless to say, Carl was not happy. Fortunately, Carl also carried around an identical pair of clothes, just in case this exact thing happened. So, Carl changed into his clothes and made amends. And filed a complaint. The next day, Carl came back and saw a serviceman with a badge standing by the tree scraping off sap. Carl was happy to know that someone cared about what he thought, and now he could enjoy his green space as it was. So, Carl sat down and Carl had sat in a puddle of water. The puddle had been made during yesterday's rainstorm. "It's lucky I brought an extra set of pants," thought Carl. Carl had quite forgotten that he had left his extra clothes in the wash. As Carl was leaving, a little box caught his eye. Carl pulled out a pen and paper. "Might as well," he thought. The next day, he came back. Carl was happy to find the same man he had seen yesterday. He had just finished trimming the trees and bushes and was drying everything off. Each piece of greenery looked very nice, but something about it made Carl sad. But he wasn't to be put out of his good mood. Now he could enjoy his green space, as it was. Carl returned to his office happy. And suddenly, his day became a whole lot worse. Carl's shoes had gotten all dirty from the park, and had been tracking dirt into the entire office. "I need to make sure that this can never happen to anyone ever again," thought Carl. So he sent a complaint. A week later, he came back, and he was delighted to see the same man at the park once more. He was treating the dirt, which looked quite different from last time. Upon further inspection, Carl found that the dirt was actually a special water-absorbing plastic. Carl was feeling pretty great. The green space was his to enjoy as it was. As he ate lunch, he began to stretch and suddenly pricked his finger on one of the nearby plants. Carl was enraged. He had loved this place, and it had hurt him. But Carl knew exactly where to go. He went straight to that little box and wrote furiously. The next day, as soon as lunch began, Carl rushed to the garden to see if his warning had been heeded. But something was different. It was the plants. They had all been replaced by plastic plants. Shiny, glossy, big, colorful plastic plants. Carl decided to stay there for lunch. Carl sat there in his space as it was, and then he got up and walked away, back towards the building where he worked. He had things to do, and besides, Carl simply could not remember why he liked eating lunch at the green space anymore.